gas. Then we'll move around this dock. There we go. We're on. This spot usually has some decent size. We'll give it a couple more casts. Then we'll move around this dock. There we go. We're on. We're on. There we go. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. There we are. That is a fatty. Oh my god. You guys just a tank. Look at the belly on that. These are good sized bass. All over the lake. This is just normal. But we're gonna let this guy go. Woo! 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 So I thought I'd start this morning off with a little bit of the Wacky Rig. Maybe switch to some more moving swim baits or topwater baits here in a little bit. So I decided to go with this popper that I found, I think at Badger Creek up near Cumming, Iowa. Found on a beach. I caught a crappie on it once. Let's see if I can catch some largemouth on it. And we're on. Not a big one. There we go on the popper. So I did not show the release of that, primarily because he was about to die. Caught up through this belly on the bottom. I mean, he bit it. He had it through his mouth and then through his belly pretty thick. So I just wanted to get him off, and that's on the popper. And this is pretty crusty, as you can see. Oh, I didn't even know he got it. Happened so fast. So I probably missed the release of that fish, and I'm sorry, I apologize guys. But I just want to show you how crusty this popper is. The hooks are bent and rusted, and I still got that guy. It just hit the water, and he crushed it. Oh, we're on. This guy's big. Oh. Oh. Sometimes that just happens, guys. Everyone knows. gonna lose a big one. That guy was sucking my drag out. I just want to show you how crusty this popper is. The hooks are bent and rusted. Come on. Not as big, but I'm on with the popper. Oh. What? What? Are you kidding me? What's up, everyone? It's the Iowa Angler back here at the same pond that my original video was shot at. Some other footage might be thrown in here from a lake on my boat. I just wanted to make a follow-up video for easy ways to catch bass on soft plastics with a single hook. I don't want to mess with any trebles. I want this to be an easy way for catch largemouth bass on some soft plastics. Things I wish I knew as a kid, because I wouldn't end up catching only bluegills or having to catfish with something sitting at the bottom. Not that those are bad things, but largemouth bass always caught my attention, always something that I always wanted to catch and never could as a kid. So I want to put this video out there, because I didn't have it as a kid, to teach some techniques on how to catch some largemouth bass on some soft plastics here in the beautiful state of Iowa. Soft plastic rig I want to show you guys is the Wacky Rig. Basically just a Senko worm or any weighted worm on a single hook. I have a weight on this one, so it sinks a little faster. You can fish a little faster with a weight. Otherwise, you can just use a hook with no weight, and basically it'll sit in the water and bob, and each end will flutter with the resistance of the water, and that just creates a fish-like action or creature-like action that bass cannot ignore. Looks like I'm gonna have a little partner in crime here today. How's it going, Gracie? Now, she will go after the fish if I drop them, so I'll try to be careful. You can see through this water. It's got some good visibility. Now, I'm using a green Senko with some red flake. Moving the line up and down. If you move it too fast, it won't make it to the bottom and they won't be able to see it. If you see the water columns kind of moving on top here, so it's kind of pushing everything on top right here. So that'll actually push my worm out here. Now you can use heavier line or lighter line. I'm using 6-pound test. Everyone will tell you you want to use a heavy pound test. You don't have to. All these poles come with a drag. You can set it higher or lower. You're going to want to set the drag looser if you have a lighter pound test, because it lets more play happen in the line. The fish can take it and run with it, as opposed to a heavier pound test. You could have a tighter drag and reel in faster. It's not as much fun. There's not much of a fight. I like lighter pound tests because you get to put up a little fight. They get to take the line. You get to feel the fish. It's just all about preference. Let it sink a little. Again, I'm letting it sink a little just because there's a small tiny weight on this hook, and if you don't let it sink, it's just going to sit at the top of the water. It's not going to get to where the fish might be. Now, heavier baits, you will not have to do that. It'll sink faster, and you'll see that here in a little bit. I also started at the point of the pond to where the wind was blowing, so that I knew if there were any fish on top, they were getting blown or pushed over here via the current on top of the water. And I'm on. Oh, there we are. So the first bass I caught today, I don't know if you guys can see that. Pretty good size. It wasn't huge. 6-pound test, it made it feel huge.
One of the downfalls of using a Senko is that Senko is completely gone now because he just crushed it. So one thing to think about is you might run around with a lot of worms. They're not that expensive, but this will definitely catch bass in a short amount of time. Now this is the next technique I want to show you, and it's called the Ned Rig. The Ned Rig got popular this last year with the creation of the worms that are super stretchy. This allows the fish to pick it up, pull on it, suck it in, and get caught by this hook right here. It's not traditional Texas rig, it's just a straight up rig like you'd rig the worm on your actual hook. The great thing about this is it doesn't come off very easily like the Wacky Rig we just caught a fish on. This actually is very hard to pull this worm off, and it lasts a very long time. It's probably one of the most popular ways to catch a fish right now. How it works really is you cast it out and it sinks to the bottom, and it kind of sits on the bottom like this, and it wiggles. Or when you reel it in or pull it up, it swims like this, like a fish. So it can either emulate a fish or a worm or something kind of digging in the dirt, and that will get the attention of any bass. So let's just get back out to that spot and see how quickly we can catch one on this. Now the spinning reel is the easiest one to start out on, just because it's literally open, cast, close, and reel. It looks like I'm on, but it could be just weeds again. Nope, I got a bass with this one. So the first one on the Ned Rig. I guess I'll go for another one since that was so quick. We'll get closer to this runoff. So on any lake or pond, there might be some drainage systems. Here's this one's drainage systems. There's frogs here. Sometimes even the largemouth crawl up in here. It's a good place because there's a lot of oxygen flowing with moving water. I'm on. Oh, he's off. Definitely someone biting at it though. He might have just had the worm in his mouth because the worm is totally messed up. Before I move on from the Ned Rig, I just want to let you guys know that this has been proven to catch bass non-stop. Largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, anything. I've caught rock bass on this. I've even caught a bluegill on this. It's just the presentation that fish love. So if you're thinking about going smallmouth, I've heard a lot of great things about catching smallmouth on this. And just to show you guys that you can catch the same fish on a bait caster with braided line, I threw a jig on. This is a football jig, so it kind of sits on the bottom like this. Hopefully I can get this last video in before the storm rolls in. So let's hit it. Now, like with all bait casters, you gotta tune them a little bit for what bait you're throwing. This football jig's a little heavy, so I tightened down the braking system. Now this braid is great for using in heavy cover with a jig, mainly used for heavy cover. I wouldn't use this on an open pond like this normally. There just seems to be too many weeds around here, and with these clouds rolling in, I'm gonna go to a spot that I will have more luck with. Nice toss right out the middle. Maybe this will give me a better angle. I'm going to toss right on top of that mat. Ah! If you see what's going on right now, please understand why I might not catch anything. I can't move because they'll just follow me, but that's awesome too. It's whatever they're playing. Oh, we're on. Finally with the jig. So if you can see, this guy's gonna have some technical difficulties, but that was the last one that I caught on the jig. Kind of gutted it. I just choked on it. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I hope you liked everything. If you guys have any suggestions, comments of what you'd like to see more of, or if you want to see something particular, holler down low. I'll leave my email, some of the stuff I'll use today, I'll link that down below.